Folks, it is a triumphant Monday, especially for my friend, the Confirmed Shoot. We're here at 6:05 Brit time, which has become a trademark of sorts. There's the, there's the logo appearing there. You can see I've got some help.
Oh my God, he froze immediately, folks.
Oh my goodness, that was terrifying. Am I back?
Yeah.
Good Lord. 1 minute in?
That's a great start.
I'll give you the floor here. Obviously, this is a wrestling show, allegedly. But yesterday was a pretty big day for you, pal, right?
Yeah, I think anyone that follows me on Twitter is pretty aware of how big of a day it was for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure everyone was kind of sick of me by the end of the day, which is fine and fair. Yeah, it's been 34 years since the Bengals have been to the Super Bowl. 33 years. I wasn't even a fan then, so this is the first time I've experienced it. Yeah, it's been a hell of a ride, man.
It certainly seemed that way watching from afar. In our world here, Shoot, and I'm sure you saw this, we had a pretty successful Rumble review show. One that may have been slightly marred by the fact that I didn't invite my two guests until halfway through the show, but it went pretty well. I do feel the need to ask you. I know you didn't watch any of it. Would you like to comment on the already infamous Royal Rumble event that took place on Saturday night?
People got what they deserved. I mean, that's not really fair, but I can't imagine being surprised at this point, I guess would be the best way to put it. The nice thing is I have my DMs closed, so no one can send me abusive DMs about this comment that I'm making right now.
I would actually like to credit, I don't know if you saw, but on Patreon I credited one of our, I credited our 10 biggest supporters. I name them.
I didn't see that.
We don't do tiers, but some people have been so nice. I just wanted to give them a little credit, right? So I did want to give a quick shout out to Mario 277-43496, who said, "Go to hell, fat boy," which I thought was a nice way to kind of rein in my increasing optimism for this channel. So quick shout out to him. We appreciate it. I have yet to go to hell, but it'll probably be quickly coming if I continue to negatively review WWE premium live events.
That's not that bad. I've said worse to you on here.
It's fine. It's fine. There was some of the replies to the Ryan Satin tweet were jealous and hating on someone having a good time. And it's like, bro, I didn't hate on Satin. I just said I'd rather not do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think you know me well enough to know that I'm probably going to put my money where my mouth is on that front. It's just, you get what you get, man. You make choices in life, you live with them. If you pump your fist for Ronda Rousey in the Royal Rumble, I'm sorry, but I look down on you. I'm sorry.
I actually, it's funny because clearly have a harder line stance on the Fed than you do because I won't even watch it, period. But at the same time, I mean this genuinely. If you watch that show and you liked it, all hail. I mean, I'm not going to tell you you're wrong.
Right.
I'm just saying if you watched that show and you hated it, I don't know what you expected otherwise.
I agree. No, I agree. I think there's elements to it that are slightly lost on you because you didn't watch that would have even stunned you. There was some moments in there that were wild, but I generally agree with you that at some point people have to wake up and smell the coffee. I think that's fair. Now, quickly, if you see in the title here, folks, so I do intend to answer some of your questions, but the one big thing I put in the title I think we should talk about is Punk and MJF. But first, I want to quickly touch on this thing that's kind of become a Twitter topic of sorts the last couple of days after WWE's failed attempt at a Royal Rumble match. Meech. Now, look, there's a lot of kids in the chat, Meech, so I expect that kind of content from. But I thought you were above that as a veteran.
I almost put it on the screen, so
fair. Have you seen some of the people talking about AEW doing their own Rumble? And I want your take on is that worth the sort of PR vibe to it?
Because you mean the Majestic Mayhem match?
Oh. I can't stress enough that we didn't talk about this. That either happened now or you've been thinking about that all day.
JJ and I talked about this a couple nights ago before it was even a topic on
Okay.
When Trevor Murdoch did his tweet saying Tony Khan could do a Royal Rumble better.
Right.
And I sent that to a couple people, and I was like, well, people are going to pretend the Rumble was good now, but I underestimated the fact that people don't care about Trevor Murdoch, so that didn't really happen.
It's tough. Seriously, where are you at on that idea?
I don't think it'd be fine. I don't think they need to do it, but...
Yeah. I'm intrigued by it, you know? Like, I'm kind of...
I mean, they have the Casino Battle Royal, which...
And the thing with
version.
The results of that kind of suggest that it isn't as much a home run as people think. Like, they are quite hard to produce, right?
Yeah.
But, yes, this is a good idea. This is good.
Yeah.
I should screenshot that message. Yeah, I think it's hard for me not to imagine, like, the ideal version of that match and how great it is. Because there's, like, 20 upper mid-card singles guys
on the AEW favorite roster. Match.
Yeah.
Match concept there is, man. Like,
I mean, the other thing too, and we talked about this on the Grin, is like
it World would actually War IV, that's a good name for it too.
That's good stuff. It would actually have the vibe that the old Rumbles had, where guys haven't touched. Yeah. Like, you'd see like dudes interacting that you don't normally see, and it would be a big deal. I don't know, man. Like, I kind of get why they'll probably never do it, because it feels like you kind of cheap, right? But at the same time, as a fan, I would love to see it in a vacuum, you know?
So Cody just said this, and this made me realize that part of my conversation with JJ, I actually came up for how you could turn the Casino Battle Royal into a Royal Rumble. Mm-hmm. You get rid of the card aspect, the suits, and you change it to roulette. And so basically what you do is every wrestler's assigned numbers, and then you put it up on the screen, and the wheel spins, and it lands on the number, and that's who comes out.
Okay.
How many numbers are on a roulette wheel? That I don't know. It's more than 30, I think.
Yeah, I don't know.
Anyone in the chat know?
But you could
you could literally say who the numbers are.
Yes, and so people would know.
But you have like a couple of them that are wild cards.
Right.
Okay, they're saying 37, so that's perfect. So you would have people that are on the list, but then they don't get in the match, and so then they're mad about that. That can be a whole other thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And also this part, like, their world of surprises would be a lot wider, right?
Yeah.
Because you'd have to have some numbers that are mysteries, right? You'd have to.
Yeah, you'd have wild card numbers.
Oh yeah, you just said that. Yeah.
And what you do is obviously you don't spin a real wheel, like it's an animated wheel on the board so you can control it all. Obviously.
Coward.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it'd be more fun the other way, but come on. Okay, 30. I think. Yeah, they're all. It's either 37 or 38. Either way, it works. So yeah, that, and you just keep the Casino Battle Royal branding.
My God.
Yeah.
It'd be great if the person you told this idea to had direct DM access to Tony Khan, wouldn't
it? I just like the idea of them like tweeting out the list the day before, and it's like you got wild cards, and so you know who every number is assigned to, and then you get like the idea of there being a handful of people to get, like, imagine MJF gets left out, and so then that's his promos for the next.
You'd obviously, and I know you know this, but you'd have to be careful with who you leave out, right? Because we know what the other company would do with that option. They would like, oh, we don't want this guy to get thrown out. They'd just be out of it.
Right.
But yeah, it's fascinating. Who would be the Iron Man in an AEW Rumble? Brian?
Probably Punk right now, just to prove he could do it.
Yeah. Darby would be good in that role. Jungle Boy would be great in that role.
Oh, Jungle Boy would be very good in that role.
I think someone said this. I can't remember who it was on Twitter, but someone was like, their roster's built in a certain way. You wouldn't even have to do like the tag team deal, right? You wouldn't even have to have like, you know, Bowens and Cassidy. You could literally fill it with singles guys for the most part. There may be a couple tags, but their roster is built almost for that match, which is kind of a pop. The only problem you'd have is there's not going to be any guys that are fodder that you can just throw out. You're going to want to protect everyone, so
right.
It would actually work best as for them, I think it would almost work best as like a special on TNT. You know, and you just have the hour is that match.
That'd
be fascinating.
A great idea, yeah.
The viewership on that would be fascinating, wouldn't it? Like, because you don't want to do one of your 4 pay-per-views because then it feels like you really are just sort of leaning on WWE shit, right?
I honestly don't think they should do it, even though it'd be really fun
Fair.
for that reason. But yeah, as a TNT special, it'd be incredible.
Yeah. Because that's going to be interesting what they do with those. Obviously, like Battle of the Belts 1 was a nice little wrestling show, but I think we would all like the next one to feel bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
And it'll be interesting if they start to lean on gimmicks for those, or they just try and do a bigger card. I don't know. It'll be intriguing to see. I think we all had high hopes for that.
I'm hoping they eventually get it to 2 hours.
That feels important too.
It did a pretty good number, so you'd hope maybe that's possible.
I'm always fascinated by it. Do you remember when there was rumors a few years ago of WrestleMania being on like NBC? Remember there was talk about it, like they may just put it on TV. There was a bidding war of sorts. I remember Dave talking about this. I think this was a few years ago, and I'm always like, I'd love to know what viewership a Royal Rumble would do on like Fox.
Yeah,
because
it's hard to say for sure.
Right, because like your instincts like would do great, but then in reality, a lot less people watch those. As much as it may seem not to be the case, less people watch those on the TV because they're behind a paywall of some kind, right? So,
but yeah, you do wonder how many people would actually give it a shot if it was free,
right? Because if you look at, and you know this better than anyone, especially right now, but in major sports, the biggest game is usually on a platform where the most people can see it, right? So like the finals, and in here we have like the FA Cup final is on terrestrial TV that everyone gets, which isn't the biggest game, but it's the best equivalent we have, I guess. Right. Whereas in wrestling, we have like the combat sports approach where the biggest matches get the biggest block between you and the consumer, which is the same boxing does in MMA. So it's like, I wonder if it would be worth the sacrifice of just, man, like maybe you get a new fan if you put a WrestleMania on NBC in prime time for 2 hours, maybe, and the rest of it is behind peak. It'd be interesting, right? It'd be something.
Yeah, I mean, with the TV rights the way they are today, I mean, you could in theory not lose money by doing that.
Right.
I'm not sure they would get what they get on pay-per-view. Well, the issue now, of course, is like, why would NBC do that? Because they're on Peacock anyway. Like,
it would almost have to be them kind of looking at it as like a worthwhile investment in the brand itself, right? Like this spotlight this here and get people to go over to Peacock. Yeah, this is
I do. To answer this question, yes, I don't think they'll ever be equal. The hope is they'll at least get them to 2 hours and they'll feel special, but I don't think they're always going to be below the pay-per-views because AEW is actually still a pay-per-view company.
Yes, and they're trending.
It's not their main source of revenue, but it's certainly a big chunk of their revenue still.
Yep. Yeah, this is the Rumble's the best match to watch with normal folks, right? By far.
It was the only one. I mean, I'll be honest. That was the first time that I honestly felt a little left out not watching the Fed that night because everyone on my timeline was watching it, even people that don't talk about wrestling anymore. In retrospect, I don't feel left out, but in the moment, I did.
Yeah, it was sad, man. I don't want us to keep, like, obviously, I know you didn't watch it, so there's no point us to keep talking about it, but, like, there are people that today are doing this thing where they, like, walk it back and, like, well, it wasn't that big. It's like, nah, man, that was sad.
Yeah.
You saw what the timeline looked like, and it wasn't the usual haters and, like, hate watchers. It was people just being like, oh, shit, you know?
I didn't have anyone on my timeline who was enjoying themselves, literally.
And people that were there, that includes, too.
Yeah.
You know? Okay. So we have the big topic here in the title. I mean, talk about this as long or as little as you would like, but I'm intrigued. I think you and I have been a little bit all over the place on this feud, right? Probably me more than you, but like there's times where I've been into it, there's times where I've been like, oh, whatever. I'm looking forward to it being done. Last week's segment, man, they talked me into the building some. And the big thing that's popped me with this feud is the fact that they have hooked my dad to a degree that, like, I don't think he thought was possible regarding professional wrestling.
Wow.
And like some of the, the old school plays that we kind of think are blasé and like, well, is it real heat? Brother, he's all in on this match in a way I've never seen before. And the question I have is, in some ways, is this the biggest Dynamite match? And now hold the phone, folks. I know To us, Brian and Kenny's a bigger deal, right? But the build to Brian and Kenny was them just setting up the match. This thing has had almost 3 months of TV build. And it's about to happen prime time Wednesday, TBS. Like, this is in the shortlist, right, Shu? This is a big match for TV. Am I wrong?
It's a valid point, and I hadn't even thought of it that way. Because it's not to me.
Right.
But yeah, you're not wrong. This may be the best built. When I say best build, I mean best attempted build. I don't. Whether you think it's the actual best build is subjective, clearly, but like clearly the best attempted to build for a TV match. Yeah, Blood and Guts would be one, but even that build was rushed.
Right.
Yeah, it's an interesting one.
It's a big deal, man. Punk's like he's never lost on TV, which again, we talk about the details, but that matters. MJF's the guy that doesn't wrestle enough on TV to be just another guy. They've never touched. The closest Punk got was his scarf. Man, it's a big deal. Like, I'm really intrigued by it. I saw that WrestleTix, I think yesterday or some point, they posted they've moved 500 tickets since this match was booked. And like, it's difficult, right? Because Chicago's a market they've kind of, they've been exploring it. Right. So it's there's other factors, but it feels like an awful big deal. Brian is going to be there. Hope you have fun, pal. I'm looking here at the chat. This is important too. This Wardlow stuff is getting over huge, man.
Yep.
And it's all part of the same picture. It isn't just on the like periphery. He wrestled Punk. It's in the center of this thing, like
he had a beat. MJF cost in the match.
And I'm not a big MJF fan, but they have me genuinely hooked on the finish. I don't know what they're going to do here.
Yeah, I have no clue. I was going to say, if you were going to ask me, I wasn't even going to do it because I don't know.
Right, and it's like, there's a lot of you, I'm sure, like me, that thinks, man, giving MJF the first win over Punk in Chicago would be a hell of a play for him, especially if he's not going to be world champ for the next year or more.
Yeah.
Because that's his belt almost, right? You can talk about that forever. It's just, good Lord. There's a sense that this is bigger than I first thought. And like when I was watching last week's show, and there was a moment there where Punk, he came out and he did the call out thing. It was old school wrestling, right? He comes out, he's got his hands taped up and all that stuff. And he's like, MJF come out, and MJF's music hit, and the place like exploded. And it wasn't with a pop because it's MJF, right? But it was almost like they were so invested in this conflict that they were actually truly reacting. And like AEW crowds are great, but there's a difference, right? Like there's a difference between cheering two wrestlers you like and being truly invested in a fight that's going to take place. They knew they wasn't going to get it, but they were so invested they talked themselves into it for a second there, man. That's some good shit. Look at that. This one's for the dads, folks. Watch the demo go up. NXT, you're in trouble.
The chat's asking, this is a good question. Do you think it opens or closes? Do you think they stick to opening the show with the big match, or do you think this one actually is the main event?
That's fascinating because there's definitely an argument with that lead in that you just go with it and see what you can do.
Yeah.
But man, does it feel like they should main event?
I think it should probably main event, yeah.
It's not like it's closing out a pay-per-view, so you don't have to worry about the heat being gone. Like the match is more than hot enough to keep the heat through 2 hours, right? So what else is on the show? There's other big matches on this show. I would probably open with Pac and Penta versus the Kings of the Black Throne. Probably my opener, I think. That's a big match, right? Relative.
Yeah.
Could that main event, do you think? I guess it could.
It could. I mean, I think Punk will open the show. I think it'll open. I think it should close, but I think it'll open.
Right.
What else is on there?
I don't know. I'm going to try and find...
I'm having a bad memory day. Surprise, surprise. There's a women's match, but I can't remember what it is.
Tell me if the chat says it. Until then, I'm going to pull up the Twitter. Yeah, most of the promotion is all about the one match, obviously, which makes sense. So I kind of have forgotten. Like, even Pac being back kind of feels like it's forgotten because everyone's focused on the main event, right?
Nyla versus Ruby. Thank you, Brian.
There you go. Yes. I know there was a women's match they give some build to.
Yeah.
That'll be in the middle somewhere.
Yes.
I think, it'd be cool if they could main event, but I just don't think Nyla's
It's a good point that you could open the show with the House of Black entrance. That's not a bad idea.
Pretty good hook, right? Relative, you know.
But I think the show's going to open with, MJF and Punk entrances, and they'll...
Depends what finish you have too, right?
Right.
Like, if your finish is... See, this is what's interesting. If the finish is the Wardlow angle, because there's a real argument, and people in the chat have made it to me, and I think there's something to it. There is an argument that you spin these two off after this, that Punk wins because of Wardlow finally doing the deed and turning. Punk goes on to wrestle Hangman, and MJF and Wardlow's the pay-per-view match. Like, I didn't even think of that until people in the chat brought it up. And I kind of, when it was said to me, I was like, man, there's something to that, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and, you know, Hangman being the first guy to beat Punk feels like when you actually kind of remove yourself from this particular feud, that's kind of the ideal play, right? He's your ace. Like,
right.
So that part's interesting to me. Yeah, man. The finish is... Like, I saw one of the power in the chat at Wrestle Purists said that he's increasingly felt like Punk winning is obvious. And I think the way they've done the angles makes you lean that way. Like, last week, they got a lot of heat, right? Like, it felt like you were going to... But I don't know if they're going to just have him win flat, which makes it interesting. There's a lot of moving pieces here, which, frankly, I think is kind of a lost art in US TV, you know, wrestling, right? Like, it feels like a throwback shoot, for better and worse at times, but it does feel like a throwback to me.
This is an interesting point, too, that I never really thought about it this way. But, yeah, that's an interesting point, because, if it's the main event, you know how long it's going to be. Right. Their main events are usually still pretty solid main events, but, they hardly ever have the true biggest match on the show as the main event. So, they'll probably stick to that. It'll probably open. They've only announced 3 matches for this show. Now, I imagine we're going to get a couple more.
Right.
I don't know that I want Punk and MJF to go 45 minutes.
No. Well, it's 30 time then, right? Because it's 30 time. Okay. Non-title, I think, is always 30, right?
Yeah, you're right.
I think.
They better. I hope they don't do another draw. I've been okay with the draws so far. This one would be a mistake, I think.
A big mistake. It would create a trend that you're doing a cop-out. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah.
I wanted to quickly shout this out because...
Yeah.
I think it wasn't just a sigh of relief, it was an actual cheer for me when I realized they had a date for the match finally. Because when they initially run the vignette, I was like, oh God.
I think it should be. I think they should have done Nyla Ruby and this match on Dynamite, honestly.
Yeah.
This was the perfect time to do it.
What do you think they do with that one? Because is that a deal where you do the kind of like... Thunder Rosa is such a big deal that her beating Mercedes by like a roll-up still puts Mercedes over? Because it feels like they want to beat Thunder Rosa, right?
In all honesty, I think Thunder Rosa is just going to beat her.
Right, but like, even if you don't think it's a roll-up, I guess what I'm saying is, it's one of those deals where as a booker, you kind of go, Thunder Rosa's so over with this audience that just by having a match with her, Mercedes has a better entry than if she was wrestling on Dark, right? Obviously, the key is always the follow-up with...
I say this... I'm a big fan of Mercedes Martinez. I don't think she's going to be a high priority for them.
No, I think she's a player coach type.
Exactly, yeah. So I think she's just going to lose clean.
I do think there's a chance she gets over. Pretty good, though.
Yeah, I agree with that, yeah.
She has like a certain charisma that honestly is it stands out in that division. I think it will be more apparent when she's separate from Thunder Rosa, because if anyone also has that charisma, that kind of badass charisma, is Thunder Rosa, right? So... I haven't seen the match. They had an indie match recently that people like loved. So
good.
I mean, they're going to kick the shit out of each other. We know the deal, right? Like it's going to be a blast. So it feels to me, Shoot, and I know where you're at on this. We had a lot of conversations about AEW from kind of a big picture sense. Feels to me like they're starting to go through the gears a little bit and get ready to swing for the fences again. I think there was a little, not a lull is probably too strong, but I thought they kind of sat back for a second. There was still some great stuff. I get the sense that we're entering a new kind of a new era, probably too strong a word, but a new time of him throwing big matches at the TV show.
They feel like they have momentum, don't they?
Yes, which I don't know if you disagree. I think to me that's a more recent week thing than it is a couple months. Does that make sense?
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, look, we're not going to rehash this because everyone got mad at you.
Yes, they did.
But I wasn't as down on it as you were. But there's definitely been like a shift in the last couple weeks.
Right.
And you can see, like, again, we don't even need to keep prefacing this with like we're not big ratings guys or whatever, but you can see like they've got some momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're doing better than they've been doing. And so it's time to capitalize on it and see if you can keep. Like, I don't think they're going to keep going up and up and up and up and up. Like, that's just not realistic. But you would hope that, though, you're going to do better this week than they did last week with this big Punk MJF match.
Look, let's be honest. I think people get really scared of having this conversation. Let's be completely transparent. They can beat Raw most weeks. They can do it, man. And it ain't going to happen in the demo. In the demo, to be clear. It ain't going to happen next week or next month, like a trend, I mean. But they can clearly compete now. And I think we all agree that they've got some, they've got some weaponry there that they're kind of chilling on right now. And this week's a change away from that. And I just think, I don't think you don't want to get lost in a war. I get it. I understand all of it. But at the same time, if I was in that position, it would be hard for me not to watch Saturday night and say, good Lord, man. Like, we can win this game.
I would go so far as to say, prefacing this with WWE doesn't fix anything. Because I still think that if WWE fixes some stuff, they've just got
things too, right?
Yeah.
Like if they just get fine again, they'll be better off.
But if they don't, I think Dynamite not consistently beating Raw in the demo next football season would be very disappointing on the AEW side. Not for me as a fan, because I don't necessarily care about that, but for them, it should be.
And it's worth noting to that point you just made there, I'm glad you brought that up, because there is a truth to, like, there's probably a reality that their most commercially viable product is one I like less than one that's more restrained. So we're talking two different things here, right? Like, our enjoyment isn't exactly tied to the ratings.
Right.
I'm just saying, if I look at that roster they've got there, and quite frankly, look at the one that's on the other channel, and it's like, I don't know, man. It feels like you can push this pretty close. Obviously, Fox is a different thing, but
and again, we're talking about the demo. They're not going to beat them in total reviewers anytime soon.
Right. Of course. Right. This is interesting. What Reese brings, I'd forgotten this. February 2nd is multiple.
Yes.
90 days, right? I think, to be totally honest, I think Athena is in play. If she's free, is that hang on, let's say, what date is it? February 2nd? Yes, that's actually the exact date, right?
Yeah.
Thunder Rosa getting back up in Athena feels like something that could happen, right? It feels like that's kind of viable to me.
Yeah, that would be. I think for anyone who didn't see the Jade interview on Grapsy, I highly recommend it. But she was definitely pushing the idea of an open challenge very hard, to the point that it was pretty clear it was a directive of her, because they didn't ask her that. She brought it up. So I think that's definitely where they're going with her. And so I think we're going to see probably not Athena, but I think that's how we're going to see somebody debut, is by losing to Jade, which you can argue whether that's good or not. But I think that's coming. I don't know who that would be.
It's difficult because a lot of the names that come to mind are ones that you kind of feel like you'd save to beat her, but you don't really want to beat her anytime soon.
Nixon would make a lot of sense, wouldn't she?
Yeah. In fear of being dismissive of her, that feels like the right level for that job. Does that make sense?
Well, and she's the type of, she seems like the type who might actually get over by losing.
Yes, exactly.
You don't, not hammering it home, but
this is a good one.
Yeah.
One. My one concern with Mia Yim is that, and I think the world of her as a talent, but she has legitimately not had like a match in like a year.
Yeah.
And it's like, good Lord, like, even if I wanted to sign her, I'd probably say, can you go and try and get some reps? It's hard, right? A year? And frankly, who would, what's Mia's biggest match if it wouldn't be her first match on Dynamite, right? Like, she did a takeover match. I don't think it went too well, but that happens. My point being, it's not like she's like, that stage is a trip for people anyway, especially when you haven't wrestled in 13 months, right? It's difficult. So there's a lot of that stuff's worth considering. I think Athena, I think would be better is someone you bring in like an angle like the Thunder Rosa thing. She has no backup right now, and we all know that there's like a dynamic there. She brings her up in every interview, so that one's fun.
Yeah, that actually feels like the play. Yeah. Which makes you wonder if maybe Mercedes is going to beat her, which I don't know I'd do that, because
I think
Probably loses and then they beat her down, maybe.
I would probably do. This is going to sound crazy overbooked, but let it play out. I'd probably do something where Mercedes comes out with Britt's whole group, because she's the vibe with Mercedes with the Jade thing is that she was kind of a mercenary there, right? She came in and just. And obviously, we know the conflict there with Britt and Thunder Rosa, and we assume that's probably where they're going to, right? So you do that kind of deal, or maybe you do some kind of way where the referee is not looking, right? Whether he's bumped or whether he's distracted, and then you take the wide shot, and Athena goes up in the top rope and hits the Eclipse, slides out of there for the pin. Is there a cooler move to hit out of nowhere than the Eclipse? You know what I'm saying? Like that would be perfect, awesome. Right? And the place would pop for it because that audience is so locked in. Like, look how they treated Ruby. I don't think Athena's going to be as over as Ruby, but the contrast between WWE crowds' treatment of Ruby and AEW's is like
night and day.
So it'll be similar. Not as big, I don't think, but it'll be similar. So
she'll be very over on Wednesday because they're in Chicago again. That'll be fun.
There you go.
That's a fascinating match too because she already beat Nyla once. Do you do it again? I don't really want her to lose, though. She's lost too much as it is, I think. I mean, they've been title matches, but still.
Yeah, I wouldn't want her to lose. And I really like Nyla, but that just feels like you don't want her to lose on TV often, right? You don't want any of these people to lose on TV too often. Ruby's, I know there's some criticism of her work, but she's still a top 3 most over woman on the roster.
Oh, yeah.
Her, Britt, and Rosa, right? That's the 3. So you want to protect that. You don't want to just throw it away. And I don't think they have. I'm just saying that we all agree that, they need to be a little bit careful with it after she lost another title match. So, yes. We agree on this, shoot?
I'm not sure they're going to do it that soon.
Fair.
I'd be fine with it.
Right.
I don't know who Britt's wrestling Revolution. We don't even have a clue yet. But I think we're all very confident that Thunder Rosa is beating Britt for the title.
Yes.
It's just a question of whether it's a Revolution or Double or Nothing.
Agree. It seems like there is somewhat uncertainty about the 90 days thing. The last day might be the Wednesday, so perhaps not. Do you think the AEW does the tag team casino again at Revolution? Now, this is a really interesting comment from Riley. Because I think all of us have probably at some point reached the conclusion that the Briscoes thing taking so long is probably a clue that it may not be happening at all.
That's how I feel.
However, FTR getting to the end of a tag team casino and then the Briscoes showing up, that if I had the pencil and I had that in my mind, I almost would be tempted to wait for that,
Yeah.
So that's an interesting thought. I think they probably will do the tag team. It seems like they do those. That's just the thing they're going to do.
Yeah, that's because tag team at Revolution, they do the women at
All Out, right?
All Out in the minute, Double or Nothing.
Yeah. I think, that's an interesting thought. I think, I'll be honest, when I saw the news today about the Briscoe, I'm increasingly kind of convinced that that's just going to be the Supercard of Honor match, which, look, I think...
What news are you talking about? Did I miss
they're the first guys in the Hall of Fame. So...
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
Which isn't... I mean, obviously, they'd be going in anyway, but I kind of just thought, I think... I would love the Briscoes in AEW because I think they're just a great team. And I think it's probably high time they get that kind of exposure. But at the same time, I think you and I both agree also, AEW doesn't need them. And the industry's better off for having great wrestlers everywhere, right? So, if that's the case, whatever. It's kind of frustrating because I just would love to see what they could do on a TBS. But, I'm going to watch FTR vs. Briscoes on Supercard of Honor, so that sounds fun. Whatever they do. GCW may be a stretch for the other options I'm in on.
This would have been fun. I agree with this.
Yeah.
That's hard to do now, though, because, Britt's the AEW champ. Deanna's got 2 belts.
There's a lot of moving pieces. With that.
Yeah, I was in, I guess she's not the Impact champion, but even still, if I was Impact, I wouldn't really want her to go and lose to Britt personally. Makes it rough.
It's just a weird one, too. It feels like it'd be better to do them as a team almost,
Yeah.
It's a hard one to figure because they're both heels. Obviously the crowd would cheer Britt, but I don't know. This is interesting. I've seen a couple of people say this. We'll quickly reports up Bruce Beat said it too about Jamie being the potential match for Britt.
If that's the case, they better do it soon.
At the Battle of the Belts special, it felt like they were about to do it immediately, and then she hasn't been on since. I don't think
we haven't
Jamie,
seen them.
so. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe there's a reason for that, right? I don't know. But look at Double J, shoot. God bless him. Look at Double J.
Yeah, I was just going to ignore that, but
I just, it's fun. Bless his heart. Imagine this, shoot, for a range of reasons we don't need to comment on. Imagine the Briscoes getting NXT 2.0.
Good Lord. I don't even know who those other two people are.
Yeah. I think one of them's a sex pest and the other one's a fine professional wrestler, which sounds just about right for professional wrestling. I always thought Britt would leave for a bit when she loses, so I think Jamie before Rosa would make sense. Yeah, I don't know. How good do you think that match would be, shoot, on pay-per-view? Jamie Hayter and Britt Baker.
Probably fine. Jamie's very good.
Right.
I'm not sure where I'm at with Britt anymore. There's a chance to be very good.
Right.
The Statlander match was good, so
yeah, could be one of those things that blindsides me. But right now, kind of look at it stylistically, and I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't. Now, there's other Jamie Hayter matches. You said to me, Jamie Hayter versus Chris Statlander. I'd be like, well, that sounds like something, incredible. Right? Yeah. It's a weird one stylistically for me.
We got 5 more weeks of TV before Revolution. That's what I was looking up.
So that's 10 TVs basically with Rampage, right? That's a lot of time. That's a lot of time, right? Like Rampage.
They generally don't really do long-term builds to their pay-per-views anyway.
Right.
Which is either a criticism or not, depending on your perspective. But I think they kind of don't really start building to the pay-per-view until like 3 weeks before the show, which is an interesting choice. But
it's worked sometimes. It's hurt others, I think.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All Out, I think, came together pretty late and was probably the best wrestling pay-per-view ever. So I think the real key, and this is the dumbest thing I'm brave I've ever said, but it's the truth. The real key is which matches you're putting together late notice. Like, if it's Eddie Kingston versus Miro, you're probably going to be okay. I think that one will get over fine. Some matches need more meat, right?
Right.
Like, it is what it is. I personally agree with this. I think that makes a lot more sense. To me, I would look at it as like when Shawn dropped the WWF title and Sid, turned on him. And that was the way of flipping him babyface. That's what I do with Britt, but, Yeah,
I agree with that too.
You get what you get, I suppose. What if you do Wardlow costs MJF the match Wednesday? You have MJF and Wardlow in the face of the Revolution ladder match. Wardlow turns on MJF in ladder match, and you do it at double or nothing. Problem with that is, as much as I think the kind of skeleton of it makes sense, it's always hard to book pay-per-view to pay-per-view, right? You're going to need a lot of detours along the way because Revolution is the first week of March. Double or Nothing is the last week of May. So it's like...
Yeah, it's harder. Yeah.
That's always saying that people... And I do it too. We all do it. So I get the reason. But like we forget that sometimes, right? It's a lot harder to just go cycle to cycle like that. It's very difficult.
I actually agree with Andrew here. I think Hook beating QT is going to be on Revolution.
Yeah. I think they learned a lesson at Full Gear that maybe those buffer matches are actually important.
Yeah.
And as much as we rolled our eyes at old Paul White, I think there was a something to be said for that little break. And I don't know if it was placed perfectly and Paul had his issues.
Yeah.
But Hook wouldn't have those issues, so I'm kind of with it. He's on the poster too, so...
Is he? I didn't even see that.
Yeah, he's like at the front and the bottom of the poster.
Yeah, I think that's definitely happening. I mean, he'll beat him in 3 minutes or whatever, but...
Yeah, people will whine about it.
It'll be awesome.
Yeah. I think this pay-per-view buyout will be really interesting. The Full Gear buyout, I think, objectively, was a success because it was on such a jump from the Full Gear prior, right? However, you would like Revolution... I think I'm fair to say you'd like Revolution to be higher than Full Gear, right? Probably.
I think as long as they keep doing 100,000, I think they're fine.
Right. It's just interesting.
I mean, I understand the idea of wanting to keep growing it, but
there's two. Like, look, I think for people that follow the AEW product, I think that Full Gear like initially had a different vibe to the other ones. So them having such a big jump, they almost doubled their buy rate on Full Gear.
Yeah.
So if you know that, you're impressed by that. However, there is probably a consent, like a different section of social that says, well, yeah, but look at the drop off from All Out. So it's like this one will be an interesting gauge in that process, right? Like if it dips again, it'll be like, well, I don't know.
The streak that they have alive, that obviously is going to break at some point, but you'd like to keep it alive as long as possible.
Right.
Is that every single pay-per-view they've done has done better than the same pay-per-view the year before.
Exactly, yeah.
They've consistently done that every time.
That makes this year interesting with Revolution because as far as I remember, last year's Revolution did pretty well. I think that the exploding barbed wire death match of Doom did pretty good business, and they obviously had that hook of the Christian thing that we forget now because so much has happened. That was a big deal when they said a Hall of Fame guy was coming in. I'm telling you, folks, try and remember how much excitement that caused on the week of, and it led to some people being very mad, and there was a whole range of emotions afterwards. You and I were pretty damn happy because we love Christian, but yeah, it's definitely.
I agree with this prediction. I think this will be the year that doesn't happen for every pay-per-view.
All Out's probably going to be tough.
Yeah.
All Out was that was a pretty special group of circumstances there. We talk about a lot, shoot. Justin brings up Kingston and Jericho. I'm just fascinated by what that even looks like by the time the pay-per-view gets here,
We don't even know when we're going to see King again, so.
Yeah, it seems like it'll be a couple weeks, so it's like, I don't know how that looks. Like, do you do the angle where, because I don't see how you have Chris like turn on Santana and Ortiz. That's a weird dynamic visually, right? Like, what does that look like? So he would almost need to bring a heel team under his guidance, like to take them out, And I agree with you, 2.0 would be hilarious, but it doesn't seem like you can do that now after he feuded with them. Maybe there's a heel team you can put with Chris.
Yeah, I understand the idea of going to 6 pay-per-views a year. I hope they don't. I think 4 is a really good sweet spot.
I know this was sent in good intention, but this is disgusting. Giving me Mark and Jay and then putting them with Chris Jericho would be brutal. Don't do that shit to me, man.
Well, now I want that to happen because that would be hilarious and it wouldn't bother me.
I guess you could do Hagar.
I don't think
that would be the pay-per-view match, but you could definitely use Hagar to shoot the angle, right?
I'm wondering if Hagar's still under contract. That doesn't mean we won't see him again, but I'm kind of guessing he's not under contract anymore.
I get the sense that he's under contract, but he's in a portion of his contract where the other party has decided he will not have a contract for much longer. Does that make sense? Make sense? Like, it seems like a couple other people are in that phase too.
Hagar doesn't need a contract, honestly, though. If they want to bring him in for something, he can do. I think we're going to see a lot of that. I
do too.
I think we're going to see a lot of their people. They're going to have less people under contract and more people they use from time to time.
Yeah, it's still going to be a lot, right? You just mean less than right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, guys, I don't think I'm speaking out of turn to say a guy like Janela, you just book him show to show when you need him for the C show, and you want to, like, there's no
WWE doesn't. WWE's created that atmosphere for them. They've made it easier for them to do that because they don't have to worry so much that WWE is going to sign these people.
Yeah, and Hagar could be the way you shoot the angle with Santana and Ortiz, right?
Could be, yeah.
Next week they showed a graphic that was like Chris Jericho calls inner circle meeting, and you do something where Sammy's out of the angle. Maybe he gets beat up by someone and he's out of the angle, and they're all in the middle of the ring, and Hagar jumps Santana and Ortiz, and they put the boots to them. It's like, that does it. As hilarious as it sounds, that I'm now pitching for Jake Hagar to be on TV. Like, if it's just Chris, how do you do that, right? It looks so weird visually. So you could do something like that, or Chris could just be the babyface and whatever.
Yeah, Brian's right. Hagar debuted in October, so yeah, he probably does still have some time left. Yeah, I doubt that either Sonny or Janela get re-signed to actual contracts, but I think we'll see both of them still.
Sonny's kind of frustrating because
not that we see Sonny we don't see them that much anyway, but
If you watch the C shows, like, there's real improvement there.
Yeah.
That is dismissed when people, like, well, yeah, they comment. It's like some of these wrestlers have got better. Janela
I like
has.
Sonny a lot.
Yeah. I think we obviously get that Sonny Kiss much higher ceiling than Joey Janela, but like Janela's got better, right?
Yeah, I had Janela in my Fleet 50, and I never would have guessed that a year ago.
Yeah. And to be clear, we get it. Not everyone can be on TV. We're not like,
Yeah.
But it's just, I just don't like when people dismiss them. It's like, well, they had this match in June 2020 and it sucked. And it's like, well, I mean, that's fair. Maybe the real answer is just they have too many people to go on TV. That's fine. That's wrestling, right? That's why we need more promotions that are healthy at the end of the day.
That is a real thing. Like, look, like I said, I like Sonny a lot, but I'm not sure who I'm taking off TV to put them on.
Yeah. Other than Brian
certainly the same for Janela. So it is.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't need to. Look, if you're gonna continue to use them and pay them, and someone said it in the chat, and
wait, I didn't call Sonny them. I was saying them meaning Janela.
I think I might have done that, but I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to do it directly either.
Okay.
I
know, but we've talked about Sonny before, and we always said she.
Right.
Like, we were not like ignorant to it. Okay, whatever. Okay, yeah, I think I've said before, I think less people should be on TV, so I get it completely. I get it completely, and I think it's hard to kind of logically see the role for some of these wrestlers on the A shows, right?
Right.
Which is a shame, but you get what you get, I suppose. Obviously, Brian Pillman Jr. should never be on TV again, but
yeah, he shouldn't even be on YouTube again.
He wasn't on last week.
Good.
Did that pop you?
I mean, no. I just don't want him to be there at all.
He was interesting. I'm wondering the reason. Someone said he was injured.
I haven't seen anything about that.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, folks. We're probably going to do another like 20, I guess, right? Do an hour. He's injured. I was told he was injured, apparently. Sorry to hear that. Any questions? Concussion. Now I feel bad. God bless. Concussions. You get what you get, I suppose. Any questions, folks, here as we rain down? Yeah, I saw that Pillman got an interesting review on one of the many vlogs in AEW.
Yeah, I don't watch Sammy's vlog.
Did you never watch it? Something happened recently that made you stop watching it?
I actually have never really watched his vlog. I watch Allie's, not every week, but I try to when I remember.
Yeah, drop in and out, right?
Thunder Rosa.
She has a very good vlog.
Good. Yeah, Allie's is very good, yes.
Did you see Evil Uno's?
I've seen a couple of his, yeah.
Ethan Page?
I haven't really watched his because I'm a great fucking hater.
No. Didn't see that coming at all. Yeah, this was great. Did you see this clip, though? So what do you think? What do you think, Brian? She just said he's a character. Fair. We touched on, I think I may have referenced this earlier. But I think it's more a case of this was the plan, because if you look at the way the feud was building, it feels like this was always where they were going to do it. And Punk made that thing about the worst place you want to wrestle me is Chicago, right? So I think this was always the plan. I think it's a ticket sales thing. What about you?
I think this was probably always the plan.
It's very similar to what MJF did with Jericho, where they did a long build, but their first match was a Dynamite main event, and they run it back at All Out. Remember?
Yeah.
I think it's a way of kind of separating it from the pay-per-view. It can stand alone. It's a bigger deal on this week's Dynamite than it would be on a 10-match stack card on Revolution. You still do it there, right, in a rematch, but it allows you to kind of kill two birds with one stone. What headlines each night of I think Ronda and Charlotte and Roman and Brock, right? Yeah. Where they're going with the tag titles, I would guess the Kings of the Black Throne. My God, the name. House, the Kings, is very brutal. What do you think, Shoot?
That probably was right.
What do you think? Jay White keeps going promos mentioning AEW. I mean, I like Jay White. It's not his fault, but like, you need some buzz, right?
Yeah, he's
Like,
probably trolling.
I mean, he's on Strong right now, and I love Strong, but he wrestled Christopher Daniels about 3 days ago on that show, and I've not seen one person talk about it. So I'm going to watch it at some point today, so I'll tell you if it's good, but yeah, I think that's probably part of it. What moment would you change in 2017, 2018 WWE that you think would have kept WWE creative stable for that time and not fall off the cliff? I mean, you probably turn Roman heel in like 2017, right? Probably.
I'm so bad with timelines. My initial answer genuinely would be it's way more than one moment. But yeah, probably turning Roman heel earlier.
I mean, I guess when he beat, maybe the play was like when he did the program with AJ, you turn him heel there, or maybe the Undertaker. Because the thing is, like 2017 would mean like after he beats Taker, and it's like he's already been on top getting booed for 2 years at that point. like that wouldn't. I mean, you would change things, but you probably could have cut out a lot earlier when Mox was like red hot too. There's a lot of different stuff, and there's many different ways you could do it. SummerSlam 2017 going with Braun or Samoa Joe would have been fun. I think it fixes everything, but it certainly would have been exciting, right? We'll dunk on Braun now, but lest we forget, summer of 2017, red hot.
When was the Joe and Brock match?
That was July 2017.
That's my answer. Joe should have won.
Yeah, and then you just figure out
they'd be doing $4 million right now if Joe had won the title there.
3.5.
Fair.
3.5. Meech here with the most challenging task of all. He would fix all of the Bray stuff. That was the biggest failure. That could mean so many things. Like, what part of it? The Fiend stuff? Or is that too late? Are we talking about cult leader Bray, right? Like, what part of it? Where do you start with Bray Wyatt? Do you even try? Do you care enough to try?
Yeah, I can't. I can't do that one. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Only so much we can do for 2 and 3 Quarter Star Classics, folks. You get what you get, I suppose. Are you going to be in the Ring of Honor Hall of Fame here in year 1?
I think I'm probably year 3.
Really?
Yeah. I've still got some heat, so they're going to let it cool for a little bit. But year 3.
So you're probably going to go with like Gabe, Nigel McGuinness.
I might turn it down.
Would you be more open to inducting someone else?
Yeah, I could do that.
Because you had some famous rivals, right? Bob, Oracle.
When do we think Bob's getting in? Because, I mean, he set off this entire change of direction for the company.
Imagine this model that they come back with, like, changes their whole trajectory. They explode. They start packing arenas, and Bob becomes an actual cult legend for bringing that initial death upon them. You imagine?
You know what will actually happen? If that did happen, like, people would just start signing their talent and ruin the entire company.
Yeah. I don't know, though. I think, depending on what that schedule looks like, I get the sense they may get some pretty cool access to people, you know?
I'm actually very intrigued by it. Like, and I've never been intrigued by Ring of Honor before. I want to preface that by saying that I should have been.
Yeah.
In 2005, whatever that timeline was, that's my fault. The last few years, I don't feel bad at all for not caring.
I don't think you could have done 2005 Ring of Honor, brother.
I certainly couldn't have at the time.
The production, I think the era of Ring of Honor that you probably could have done with actually enjoying it in real time was probably like 2015. But I don't know where you're at on the Fed at that point. So
yeah, it's so hard to even remember. I'm sure I probably liked it at the time. Yeah, there's a real chance Ring of Honor will be cool. I mean,
yeah, there is, because if they get if you look at Strong, and I know New Japan has a lot more clout, right? Like, you see the talent that Strong can get on there. Like, they get some really weird matches on there with different promotions. Like, it feels like Ring of Honor can do that, I think. And the big thing with Ring of Honor, and you guys know me, I pop for sport for wrestling as a kind of wrestling promotion as a sports franchise. It's like in Gresham, they've got their first option, right? I mean, he ain't a superstar or anything, but he's a better guy to build around than, frankly, anyone that like Impact's got, or like he fits their brand perfectly. So there's something to
Bud
that.
Matt.
They might get Bud Matt.
We made it 56 minutes.
We did. What a weekend he had, by the way.
Funding he apparently got over huge as a heel. He sure seems like he's going to be coming back there.
Yeah, it seems like they position him as the new Rod Strong, which popped me tremendously.
I don't know that reference, but fine.
Well, here you go. Reese is talking about it. In PWG like 2015, 2014, Roddy was like the complete top heel, and he was like a full-on like piece of shit.
Okay, then yeah.
He'd throw like women in front of the babyface to protect himself, and it seems like Bud's like a fault because obviously generally that's not what that promotion's famous for necessarily. But Bud Matt can change the way he can change things, brother. Change his finishes.
He cut a heel promo so strong that they threw beer at him and then caused Leo Rush to get injured. So
sorry to hear that. I mean, that was very nuanced sentence because part of that was very good and the second half was very bad.
Yeah.
But good heat, right?
I feel really bad. Like, both wrestlers that he wrestled in actual matches this weekend got hurt. It doesn't seem like he's got any kind of heat on him for that being his fault, but that definitely did happen. He beat the shit out of Speedball too with a chair.
It's another thing that Rod Strong did. It's good stuff.
Big fan of the thing. There's been multiple pictures of him like sitting in that chair, just looking like a complete shithead. Very good weekend for Bud Matt. Good weekend for our brand. It's very, very fitting that the first good weekend for our Bud Matt brand would be stuff we couldn't even see.
Yeah.
But still a good weekend for our brand. Nobody said anything's wrong with Speedball. He beat the shit out of Speedball.
Yeah, good. He's the kind of wrestler you should kick the shit out of, right? Yeah. He's Speedball, like he's a baby.
And then they rang the bell and Speedball rolled him up, and that was the entire match.
God bless. I want to we need to investigate if there's like a nice little kind of shitty but maybe actually good indie show on the on the internet somewhere. Because our Bud Matt fandom, like we're gonna have to wait until 2027 to watch this PWG. We need to fuel it some other way. Is he gonna show up and wrestle someone in New York again, or do we know if anything's happening with Bud Matt? Is he sharing any of this information via his massive social media following?
Yeah, he's very bad at that.
He is? Oh, I didn't notice. I did not. Yeah, the Beyond Wrestling show looks good. The one that Biff's working, right?
Let me check.
I know. The one thing I do know is the Monday after Elimination Chamber, I'm going to review something that isn't the Elimination Chamber. So that date is certainly one to circle.
Buddy's last tweet is "Let me talk with a microphone."
Shades of Eli Drake.
Yeah. I mean, look, the fact that he's getting over with promo is popping me huge, so I hope that continues to happen. Yeah, there are no matches on his Twitter feed that he has plugged at all.
I swear, my tone comes across different than I intend. I did not mean that to sound like I was really hateful. I feel bad now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to hear all of this.
I'm glad it was you and not me this time.
I mean, it's usually me.
Yeah, true.
There's real heat, right? You can tell. You feel it, right?
Yeah. You heard it. So, I mean,
when patrons quit, they can do they can fill out a form as to why they're leaving. And we've only ever got one word answers, and it's just Joe. Which felt like a direct shot. I think it probably was, right? I don't think it was about Samoa Joe or.
You remember Just Joe?
No.
Joe E. Legend?
No.
I forget how young you are.
MLW was good last week.
Shut up.
It was in that location that popped you, the Underground Fight Club.
Yeah, but that popped me ironically, not like.
That's pretty good. It's pretty cool.
If Water ran there, I'd watch it.
So that's just
what's going to happen and I can already tell you this is exactly what's going to happen.
I know.
Ring of Honor is going to come back. I'm going to give it a shot, and I'll enjoy it to a degree. And then we'll get to the pay-per-view weekend, whenever the next pay-per-view is, and I'll watch the TV, and they'll talk about the pay-per-view that happened the night before.
Yeah.
Plugging it, and then I'll give up and quit watching it. Because that's what happened last time. I got so mad. I understand it's syndicated, understand that, but you could find ways to work around that.
Have you considered just not watching the TV?
Yeah.
It depends what model they have this time, though, right? Yeah. Like, if they're not going to do as many events, then the TV will be a lot more. Like, it'll be a lot more of a straight line narrative than when they're doing 4 events a month, but also TV. Like,
the other issue I have is I can't record their TV because it's on actual. It's on actual network TV here, and I have slings, so I watch network TV with an antenna. I'm going to have to actually watch it live at midnight, or I'm not going to be able to watch it.
Did you see the Observer claim about Ring of Honor?
No.
The claim was that 400,000 people watch that show every week.
Oh, I remember that claim. Yeah, I never bought that.
Oh, no, it's a new one. It's from about a week ago.
Oh.
They used to say 500,000. They were modest. They said they lost 100,000 viewers. But yeah, in all seriousness, shoot. Ring of Honor TV is free on their website every week. So
I know I was about to bring that up because that's your favorite thing that exists and no one knows it exists.
They also do a live watch party every Monday, an hour before Raw. Did you ever hear about that?
No, I didn't know that was a thing.
You didn't?
No.
Okay. Well, maybe you heard that Honor is real. I hope that at least did the trick for you. This is good. I might go to that Progress show that the Swerve is. The Swerve is working. You know, because he'll be TNT champ by then.
I don't watch wrestling illegally, chat. That's a fine, upstanding gentleman.
Yeah, Bob does that. But again, you don't have to watch it illegal. I don't know why even still the chat's ribbing me about this. You see this shoot? You could just watch it free. It's free, man. It's easy to watch. It's good too, right? Like they have good wrestlers. Like Danhausen, he was on there.
Was that necessary?
What Danhausen? He's the AEW star. No paywall, pal. The Mecca, Brian Johnson.
I don't know who that is, legitimately.
Josh the Goods Woods.
Oh, that's the guy who lost on Dark the one time.
To Sean Spears.
Yes.
The last real man in professional wrestling, Silas Young.
Apparently NWA does a 90-minute review show every week.
What? What does that mean? Ring of Honor? I don't know what it means. So, shoot.
You should get on that show, Joe.
You should watch their show.
What show?
NWA has a show called USA. That's about 30 minutes long. You should watch it.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know about that show. Darius
Lockhart wrestled this week. And Raven is doing some sort of character on there. It's about as inspired and creative and dynamic as you would hope from Raven in a small studio in 2022. He hates Tim Storm.
This sounds incredible.
You would pop it. It's like 35 minutes long. It's bad. Yeah. It's a very bad show. Very, very terrible program.
Yeah. I mean, I'm definitely not going to watch it, but
they review themselves.
That's actually hilarious.
Billy, what do you think of the show tonight?
We should do that. We should have a review show where we review all of our content. I mean, it would just be us dunking on Bob the entire time, but
yeah, that's awesome. No comment. No paywall, right? Yeah, NWA Power is like long now. Sometimes it's like an hour and 10 minutes long. But every month or every 2 months, they do a show called Power Surge instead, which I think just means they don't have enough content for Power. So they just like pretend that they're doing something else, even though really they've just run out of wrestling.
Okay.
So they just like show old matches and then they'll do like a shitty tag or something in the main event. And if you combine both shows, that would probably get you to about an hour and a half, hour and 40. You'd probably have a nice half-hour show, but they refuse to do that. Instead, do just 2 shows for no apparent reason. Rodney Mack wrestled on the Power Surge this week. He won.
Okay. Look, man, we're not behind a paywall. I don't need Billy Corgan DMing me.
I think Billy would. It would probably be well, no, it wouldn't be Lagana. Never mind. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Nate. I would not watch the show for Raven. I think that'd probably disappoint you greatly. I'd probably leave the memories alone on that front. I think Raven would agree with me, actually. To be honest with you, their women's matches are. Kylie Ray had a nice match with oh my god, the young lady who was on Dark, Maddie
Rinkowski?
Yeah. Either that or it was a different Maddie, but her name was Maddie. Kylie Ray's really good, so there you go. That match was good.
Remember when Maddie debuted on Dark and did Bianca Belair's entire entrance?
That was coincidence.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. It happens, right? You know, these things. It's just like when AEW does the Royal Rumble. Or what did you call it? The Majestic Mayhem match.
Mayhem, yeah.
Just a coincidence. I don't think it was done out of spite. They had 31 entrants rather than 30, you know? Happens. What female free agents would you like to see AEW bring in for the Owen? I mean, I'm pretty open to all of them, to be honest with you. There's like a handful there that I think are like kind of objectively positive signings, right? Like, you might not need all of them, but I think if they posted an all-elite graphic for Athena, Tony, Mia, Nixon, like, people would pop for all of these, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So all of those names come to mind. Obviously, Athena is my priority. Shoot, who's the one? If you could only have one from that short list, where would you go?
Of those 4?
Yeah, I think they're the big 4, right?
Yeah. I don't know why I asked that. I'd probably go with Tony Storm. Athena would be right there. I mean, I like all 4 of them, so
yeah. I think this will ever happen.
It wouldn't stun me, but probably not.
What star rating does a match between AJ Lee and Britt Baker get?
No comment.
Taya Valkyrie's a good one.
Yeah.
Obviously, I think it's dependent on like what they're as a couple, what they're going to do feels like a factor, right? Feels like to me. I mean, I could easily see both of them going back to Impact. But like, is there a chance we get Johnny Honor?
Johnny Honor.
I mean, he's got, he likes adding that because his name would be Johnny Elite, right? In AEW.
Or Johnny Dynamite.
Johnny Rampage.
That's a better name.
Johnny Dark. Johnny Elevation.
Megan Bain's a good. I think she may have a deal already.
Feels like it, yeah.
At least the tier deal or whatever that is. Yeah, we've totally no-sold the Nia Jax thing every time.
She'll be in a Rumble eventually, man. Give it a couple years and,
Nia?
Yeah, she'll just go out and do a Rumble and she'll do something. She'll do a spot with Tamina, who'll still be there.
Yeah.
Johnny Power. Oh, my God. Johnny Power.
I hope that happens.
Johnny Fusion for MLW. That was MLW shoot.
Yeah, I wasn't going to.
Yeah. Johnny BTE.
Then it could be Johnny Major. Yeah, Johnny Major.
Johnny Fight TV would pop me. A lot of options is the point. Definitely a good thing that we just completely hijacked the Taya Valkyrie conversation. We're doing Johnny's names. It's true though, right? It does feel like they're both going to go to the same place. Ultimately.
You would think, yeah.
That would be your guess. Johnny Strong. Oh my God.
That would actually make some sense.
It'd be interesting for sure. Yeah, I don't know. I think kind of you can believe the same thing for Mia and Keith. I would guess. Do you have any read on the Keith Lee thing?
I have no idea.
It feels like he's a good example of what you and I have talked about, of like, they cut guys at such a rate now that he almost feels like it's nuts to me he isn't free yet, you know? Like,
Keith needs to wrestle.
Yes. You suggest Ring of Honor?
Well, I would sign him, but I would want him to go do some stuff first. Same, like just like Mia. They should go work some shows first.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. It's been Keith looked the last few times he worked Raw, he looked pretty rusty because he hadn't wrestled in so long, right? He had the health problems, so no, I agree with that. It's just interesting, man. Like, the free agent list is so long.
Yep.
That it's like by the time your 90 days is up, it's like, oh yeah, Keith Lee. Like,
so let's do this.
Okay.
Of all the free agents out there, we know that are coming, whatever. Is there anyone that you feel very, very certain is going to AEW? Like, obviously, we don't know for sure, but like, you feel
the most confident I am is Athena. I think she's kind of a lock, to be honest with you. Especially because she was blocking people for saying she should go to Impact Wrestling.
I would probably go with her and Gargano. And I didn't feel sure about Gargano that long ago, but I feel pretty confident. Jeff Hardy's another one. He feels like a lock. Matt Hardy's just blatantly saying that's going to happen.
Swerve's probably on that list. He may be a little bit later, though, because I think he might float around a little bit first.
I don't feel as confident about Swerve. He should be a lock. I don't mean it that way.
You mean on his part, he might not choose immediately to go.
There's a chance that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. I just don't feel... And again, like I said, he should be a lock. He's someone they should absolutely bring in.
Right. But who's on the other side of it? Which big free agent are you least confident about going to AEW? That almost it feels like it would be an outside... Is that even a possible thing anymore? Everyone feels like if they're a free agent, there's a chance to go there, right?
Probably still Braun. Because if he was going to be there, he'd be there by now.
I don't know if he counts as a free agent at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
He's about as much of a big free agent as I am, really.
I don't agree on Bud Matt, fair. I don't agree on Cross. They tried to sign him once.
No, don't do that.
I'm just saying, I wouldn't.
Don't say stuff like that, shoot. Come on. It's a family show, you know. He's early.
I'm just saying, don't be super confident that they don't.
I think Biff's going to show up. Biff strikes me as the kind of guy that will wrestle a TNT title match and then vanish to the C shows and will pop for tremendously while everyone discusses why he was signed.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
I think Karrion Kross or Killer Kross, Kevin Kross, whatever. I think he needs to rebuild himself some after that run. That's
probably fair, yeah.
Even if they want to sign him, I think they'd probably suggest he rebuild himself some, you know? But the guy that no one talks about is my guy, right? Joe.
Yeah, I don't know what he's going to do.
He's like not a conversation point right now, is he? Have you seen there's not even any buzz about if it's 30 or 90 or it's like no one knows. No one's talking about it.
Fair.
And this is where the discourse, as the kids call it, shoot, fascinates me. Because I don't know about you, but I think he gets a bigger reaction than any of these people. In the building.
Probably, yeah.
And online, he's got less buzz than, like, you know, anyone.
Well, he's hardly done anything for...
I know, but it's an interesting... Like, this is what I'm getting at. Is like, you know, we often talk about that. You know that deal of Twitter it's like its own world almost. Like, Joe doesn't do anything, right?
Yeah.
So, like, in that world, he's kind of forgotten. But I have no doubt that if CM Punk's doing a promo and Samoa Joe comes out, people are going to absolutely lose their mind.
Oh, yeah, lose their minds, yeah.
More so than any of these other guys, I think. So, it's just interesting. I don't know if that will happen, to be honest with you. I think there's a lot of just question marks about what Joe's doing full stop in terms of wrestling, managing, like, he's a mystery, right, at this point, but
it could just be done. I'm sure he's made a pretty good amount of money.
Oh, yeah, but he's, you know,
He can do video game voiceovers.
Pop. Factual.
I mean, there's probably good money in that.
Right, no, I think he's a guy that if he said he was done, it wouldn't shock me by any means. I think anyone would be surprised. But it does feel like he's a smart guy and he'll realize he has this like couple years here where he can probably squeeze the last real money out of this career. Yeah, it's interesting. Imagine Joe and King on commentary. That'd be lots of shouting.
That would be fun, though.
It would.
And then they just eventually beat the shit out of each other.
Yeah, you'd have to have a feud, right? It feels like if you're not going to do Punk, it feels like Kingston's the most obvious feud for Joe, to be honest.
That's popped me huge now. The idea of like Joe coming in as a commentator and like he and King do commentary. Of course, this all happens on YouTube, which makes it even funnier. But like they just get madder and madder at each other every week for 4 months, and then they just get in a huge fight, and it leads to a match. And Joe and I lose our minds while no one else cares.
Yeah,
because they haven't been watching the YouTube show.
Yeah, that rules. I think there's a chance that like we've seen this elsewhere with other people. I just think there's a very real chance that he gets there and like people go, "Oh yeah, Samoa Joe's really great." You know, I'm not saying he's gonna have 5-star matches, but I think he's got some stuff to offer. I sense. We'll see. I don't know. Team Taz stuff's interesting for sure.
So this is an interesting one because they definitely still get called Jurassic Express by some people. But my immediate reaction to that is Jurassic Express was the 3 of them.
Yeah.
And the third guy's gone, so... But I don't know for sure. Because, yeah, they definitely don't announce them as Jurassic Express anymore. But then people call them Jurassic Express still all the time. They definitely got called Jurassic Express on commentary on Friday.
It's the Marco Stunt thing, I think.
Yeah, that is the... Yeah.
Regal's an interesting one.
I don't think he's going to be an AEW.
Yeah, Shoot was telling me about JR saying on his pod, right? This wasn't, you didn't listen to it, but you told me.
I didn't listen to it, but I definitely, yeah.
JR kind of said, basically talking as though Regal was there. Like Impact, that is.
Impact, yeah.
I just can only assume he's got a big role there because him just going there to be like the general manager that just sounds insane to me.
We talked about this off air last week. It's a fascinating. I think what I came up eventually was like if he was the creative director, if that was his title. Because that's the like I don't think Regal's ever been a booker, and there's been people acting like he could run the entire show, and we don't know that that's the case. But like if you, the idea of him as like the creative director of Impact would be a huge pop. It'll make me instantly more intrigued by the product.
It feels like the kind of thing that they could use to just give them a new clean slate. You know, their 25th clean slate here in the 20th year. It would just give them a chance people to come back and try it one more time, you know? Even if he didn't actually do the booking, it would just...
Right.
It would make people say, well, let's see. And obviously you would assume he would bring some good talent with him. He has a great reputation. In fact, if he did it... Like, if they announced that tomorrow, which I think... I get the sense he's got a 90-day thing, but let's just imagine they announce it tomorrow, right? There is probably free agents that we were just talking about that would be affected by that and would be interested in listening to what Regal said. Like,
exactly.
He's worked with just about everyone. So, yeah. I don't know what the deal is with Marco Stunt. It doesn't feel like he's going to be... I mean, his absence is pretty, like, apparent at this point, right? Like, he's never on.
Some reality show stuff, but I don't think he's going to be re-signed.
Yeah. I hate when Bob O'Neill wins, man.
He'll do well. He'll do well in GCW and things like that.
Who, Bob?
Yes, but also Marco Stunt.
He'll be fine. It's just, you know, I don't like when Bob's right about stuff. Shit.
It's going to happen now and then. True. Marco had a fine... Look, I'm in all seriousness. Marco had a fine AEW run. I'm sure he probably wouldn't agree with that, and that's fine. But, like, I think they got as much as you can get out of him, so...
Right. Yeah, that's interesting. I think there's something there in terms of like how marketable he is.
Yeah, I mean, I like the guy. Yeah, it's hard.
Oh, I'm sorry, I broke up. My bad. I think there's a marketability there that you could do something with, but not on that level. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, I think where he could be more of an actual, a character that you see regularly that kind of does these incredible feats of giant killing and stuff like that. Kind of like, the Spike Dudley deal kind of. I mean, he's not Spike,
Right.
but you get my point, right? It's like, it's hard to see him doing that on TBS or TNT on that show with that roster. Like, it's very difficult, unfortunately.
He'll do well on the indies. He'll be fine.
Yeah. Sorry to hear this. I wish you wouldn't will that into existence, but I appreciate it. Look at this. Double J's victory that day will be incredible, won't it?
Yeah.
Steve
Regal, I mean, that would be a real victory lap instead of just being acknowledged by a promotion you don't like. That's a weird victory lap. The Regal thing would be an actual victory lap.
Shoot, that sounded like you were lashing out.
I was, very much so.
All right, folks.
Look. I'm just saying.
Oh.
I don't see being acknowledged by a company that you can't stand as a victory lap. That's not I wouldn't be happy about that personally.
Wow. That was more of a measured attack rather than lashing out. That was interesting. You did both.
Yeah. We're wrapping up here.
Yeah. Any final questions, folks, here as we put a bow on this rare Monday stream? Shoot, a rare 605 appearance for you.
Yeah, rare free appearance. They're going to be rare. Very rare. But Dragon King has a Cody question.
Sorry to hear that.
I like that he proclaimed it instead of asking it.
That'd be great if everyone in the chat said, I have a question. So, chat warfare. Is Finn a free agent by SummerSlam? Yes.
You think so?
Yep. Undisputed Universal Elite in Blood and Guts this year. I'd rather not. They did 18 million War Games matches, and I didn't really like any of them, but I get the appeal. It's not really my thing. I think the Pinnacle should be their match the way it was the Horseman's match, That's me personally. Any people who WWE might sign? Probably not. They ain't more cuts than signings. Continue. What do you think is the ceiling for Daniel Garcia in AEW World Champ?
Yeah, we never mentioned that he won Battle of Los Angeles.
Spoiler.
Yeah, sorry if you were waiting for the DVDs in 9 months.
People do it, man. They do it.
They're definitely going to. I think that's definitely going to get mentioned on TV too. Not like in a major way, but it's going to get brought up that he won.
Which free agent would better suit the Texas Wrestling Federation's roster?
Which current free agent?
Yeah.
Kevin Von Erich.
He's not a free agent. He's an MLW.
Is he?
Yeah. He does these really bad vignettes from his backyard. Yeah. They would pop you, actually, now that I think about it. Does Cody continue to work the contract angle?
Yes.
Probably. We're going to say it's good. Pops can run out, actually. Yes, I laughed at that, but they can. Look at this. You're both lashing out at each other.
I mean, I'm happy about it, so that doesn't bother me a bit. I'm glad they didn't acknowledge Impact on their TV. Although they did have the Good Brothers with the Impact titles all the time, and they did do an Impact title match on TV. And they did do an Impact tag title match on TV. Remember when they launched their new TV show with an Impact title match as the very first match? I'm just saying, man.
Listen, man. That was a little aggressive, okay? I'm the one that gets aggressive at the chat.
There was an Impact title change on AEW television.
Oh, God. Oh, this has gone poorly for Double J. Shoot. This is so unfair because, we have this, and poor Double J just has to type furiously, with some kind of response to that, and now we're going to wait for it. So he has to have one, right?
Yeah.
I mean, in some ways, it'd be funnier if we just ended the stream and you never got a chance to reply. But
I think that's exactly what we should do. I'll be the GM.
I don't think we're going to move quickly enough, though, because I have to do promotions. Then anyway, so tomorrow, we're on Patreon. I'm on Patreon. We both are in different ways. 6 o'clock Brit time, 6:05 Brit time, the same time we did this stream. I'm doing TW Tuesday. We booked the first episode of Built Different Wrestling last week. And then at midnight Brit time, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Dark Watch Along with Shoot, Bob, and maybe myself. Wednesday, free day, Dynamite preview, Dynamite review. Thursday, the Historical Oracle on this channel. Friday, the Late Night Grin Behind the Paywall. There will also, I think, be another program on Friday for the free folks. So keep your eyes open. Lots happening. Shoot, any final word here? Oh, no, he's replied. Shoot, we can't ignore it. Fair point, Shoot. But it's nice if TK sees Rich Swann as a good, credible champ. Now, I'm going to have to join in here, unfortunately. Impact didn't see Rich Swann as a good, credible champion. He's never wrestled for the belt again. He's a tag team wrestler now.
Yep.
So, I did that one for you.
Thank
All right.
you.
Shoot, any final words? About everything, not just JJ.
No. It's a good day for the confirmed shoot. I'm very happy.
Fair. All right, Double J has been owned. Wrestling is alive and well. Enjoy AEW Dark Elevation as well as the great Monday Night Raw. And Shoot and I don't give a damn about our bad reputation.